little commentary here. We have to talk about tipping. Now, tipping is interesting and everyone has something to say about it. Now, listen to me. With the tipping situation, I feel like it is without question, and it does not need to be said, the ultimate goal or the compassion that each and every person has is that you do want to tip because you want to make sure the people that are serving you in such a wonderful way do feel appreciated. So that's number one. And I do think that sometimes there's this issue where it's like somebody who works, exclusively in the restaurant industry, they're very like, well, you have to tip this much because like you don't get it. And it's not about getting it. I actually come from like a very, like for one, a blue collar upbringing and very much like, the worker is very important. So I do always naturally want to tip well. I think where it is, I got to admit this, and you may agree, where it's getting confusing, and I won't say confusing, but like challenging, is it's becoming too much of a demand by way of the way the apps go, like when you're paying rather, and you swipe your card. And I think for the base not to be 15% and it's like starts at 20, 25, 35%, there's something that feels so off-putting, or even like corporate, even though the concept of tipping was always the opposite of corporate, It was like the more rewarding of like a really wonderful service that you got, and you felt really like, oh my God, this dinner was so good. You did such a great job. I would like to tip well. So I feel like in some ways this is kind of maybe hurting the service worker because you're putting like so much tension. And I think now here's this side or that side. I think humans naturally show up. But if you put that tension, it kind of makes people a little frustrated. I guess what I'm saying is like, I naturally would be very okay with doing a 25% tip and being very gracious. Like, oh my God, I'm so happy to do this. You did a great service. Boom and boom. But the way when you swipe the card and it tells you what to do, and it's very like in your face and a little bit blunt, if you ask me, it's kind of like you have to do it right there and then, and you have to like make the decision, and you have to like sort of showcase. And if you go a lower amount, because it's not really 50%, isn't even a choice anymore, the person like feels awkward or you feel awkward. I think that tension, I don't really like it. And I think in the long run, everyone is making more money that way. But I think in the short run, it just really kind of gives, I guess the terminology is tipping fatigue. Again, this is with being said that I never worked as a service worker, although, can I tell you something? Outside of working in broadcast and radio and all the stuff that I've done, I actually only wanted to be a waiter. That was like the only ambition I had, either to like have like the best talk show, Johnny Carson and Ronnie, you know what I mean? Like the top tier, that was like my big dream. And, or if I didn't ever get that dream, I wanted to be a waiter. Did you know that I'm like one of the few people who only wanted to be a waiter? Anyways, I know that people don't like the job. It's a hard job and you deserve the tip. But it's just, the whole thing is so challenging. I don't want to ever presume to know how frustrating it is when you do work as a restaurant employee and people don't tip wonderfully. I think that is challenging, but that's why I try to tell you that I actually wish I worked at that job. But no one ever hired me. Could you believe that? No one ever hired me for my wonderful hospitality. I'm hospitality 101. All the jobs I've had. Anyways, let's get back to tipping and asking the question, what do you think about tipping? Do you think it is a little too invasive that everyone is putting on their little, credit card swipe, tip 25% to start? Like that's the base. Do you feel good about that? Also, can we get to the bottom of how, I don't know how this works. Can somebody tell me? You own a restaurant and you only have to pay your employees this percentage and the tips are supposed to complement their salary? Like, it seems like that's odd, right? I mean, do you know what, co-host, do you know why that is? I'm asking Kelly, she's sitting right here. Why is it that if you own a restaurant, you only have to pay your employees a certain smaller amount because you're relying on the do-gooders, which I'm proud of that, to take care of the tip, but then you don't have to pay your employee that much. Isn't that funny? Like that, what's the, oh, we got dogs in here too.
Yeah, see, she doesn't agree.
What's the get on that? What is the get?
I always disagreed with that. I've worked I waited tables for years, and I always thought that was kind of jacked up.
Yeah, it's jacked up, right? That you get to be like, okay, so if I own a restaurant, I can say, oh, I'm going to pay you this much, but you're going to make it up on tips. but I don't have to assume that responsibility. But yet, if let's do any other job, I'm working at what is a non-tip job? Like I'm working at a factory or whatever. I can't say like, oh, I'm gonna pay you less. You know what I mean? You have to pay the wage. Something is not adding up, and I'm sure there's an answer. Somebody could help me with the answer. Anyways, Kelly and I, we don't know shit, okay? We don't know, but we're just wondering, tipping, are you getting tipping fatigue, but are you also kind of like torn up about it? Because you're like, I don't want to have, me personally, Kelly, I don't want to have tipping fatigue because I want to show up for the service, but it does get hard, and that's whether you've worked in a restaurant or not. I'm just saying it's a blanket thing. I don't know anything, so I'm going to just stop talking. You want to tip somebody? If only I had a Patreon. I do. All right, I'm done. Tip away. Do what you want. Don't talk to me.